What's up? It's PoE 2 hype season. So we've just gotten unofficial confirmation that Druid is going to be in the patch 0.3 release, the Third Edict. We have a name for it. There are also some leaks that indicate Act 4 is happening, which we've pretty much all expected was going to be in this patch, right? We're super hyped up about the next PoE 2 league, and I'm ready to talk about it, so let's get into it. But first, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join our Discord as well. We're getting close to 1,000 members. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the stuff that we know for certain. GGG, as of the time of recording, has dropped 2 teaser trailers and then a Twitch drop video as well. I don't really think there's anything to learn from this video, at least as far as I can tell. You know, just like a cool Twitch drop elite kill effect that you can get. I don't think there's anything else to be learned from that. All of this stuff just looked like things we'd seen before. So the first trailer that we saw was the announcement trailer for the Third Edict. It's just a couple of shots here. We see Sin in this sort of round room, activating some sort of special weapon or whatever. It's called the Third Edict, apparently. Good editing on this. I like this particular transition here. Very impressive. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I guess the Third Edict is a weapon. I thought the Third Edict was the thing that the Arbiter of Ash references throughout that fight. I actually went back and did that fight and learned that, first of all, I'm very bad at that fight now, and second of all, he calls it the Fourth Edict, so edicts must be some sort of weapon in PoE 2's storyline. I don't know. What we do know is the reveal date is August 20th, so just a couple of days from now. It's Wednesday of this week if you're in the US, 4 p.m. Beast Coast time, so a day sooner than normal. It's going to happen at Gamescom, I think, and that's pretty cool. I really did like a whole deep dive for a while. I like here's a Deskry here, then here's a Deskry that sort of looks like, or Deskry, however it's pronounced, it sort of looks like the Searing Exarch's mark. I don't think this means anything. Ultimately, I went down to like a rabbit hole, and I think I just basically just going crazy. So then they put out the second teaser, and it is very clearly an indication of like the next lore and in-game act, in-game boss, I think. But definitely like the next league mechanic that's being added. And it's Kulamok. It seems to be Abyss. Some people have speculated Delves. I think it's Abyss. Very cool. Again, you know, I definitely recommend watching both of these teaser trailers. I've watched them a bunch. I think they're a lot better without me talking over them. So that's stuff we know. We know when the patch is coming. We know what it's called. It's almost certainly going to have stuff from Act 4 in it, and we know a lot about Act 4. Rare Secretary on the PoE2 Reddit, the user Rare Secretary, great random name, has put together not one but 2 really good posts with tons of video footage from like ExileCon and I think some Gamescom stuff of different like streamers, you know, Mathel and whoever. But then also like Jonathan, I think at Gamescom a couple of years ago, playing through like Druid and stuff in Act 4, and then a lot of art book stuff from Act 5 and 6. And like stuff from some of their previous, I don't know, like showing off on GameSpot, you know, that looks really good, and maybe Act 5 and 6 could be in the coming patch. I would certainly like that. I'm hopeful for that, but we just don't know. But Act 4 is definitely going to be in there. Like, I feel absolutely confident about that. I wouldn't be that surprised if Act 5 and 6 are in there. So then earlier today, there were some leaked bits of information that came from PoE 2DB, and I've also read some comments saying that these were actually in from the very initial release, but as you can see, there were some Druid notables that were data mined with different ascendancies, Shaman, Harbinger, and Wildheart. I don't know if this is a brand new leak or a brand old leak, but what I do know is that GGG removed them. So if I open up that page again here, they're no longer available. Like now here we have 947 notable passives from when I loaded this a couple hours ago, and within the last couple of hours, they've been removed. Similarly, there were some Beastmaster Ascendancy notables for Huntress that have been removed, and also some Martial Artist Ascendancy notables for Monk that were removed. So again, is this them just tidying stuff up, trying to prevent insane tinfoil hat speculation, or is this good cause for tinfoil hat insane speculation? I don't know, but I would much rather it be tinfoil hat time, so I'm gonna say that it's Druid o'clock in just a couple of days here. These are the 3 ascendancies that we're getting, and then we're also probably getting Huntress and Monk ascendancies added in as well, and maybe that Martial Artist Monk ascendancy that I no longer am able to pull up here, you know, maybe that'll be some sort of unarmed Monk ascendancy. I guess we'll find out. All right, so that's all the stuff that we have a pretty reasonable expectation of. And so now I just kind of want to do the classic bingo board stuff here and throw together a bingo board of all the things that I think are reasonably presumable are going to be in there, either based off of like leaks or stuff that Jonathan or Mark have said in past interviews. So I think number one, first off, right off the bat, Act 4, center of the bingo board. I think that's definitely happening. I think you could also say Druid. We'll just say Druid, throw that right in there as well. I think these are both happening, and going back and looking at that GameSpot or GameSpot footage from Gamescom a couple of years ago of Jonathan playing Druid and like some of the comboing of skills where you use one skill to stand up on two legs and swipe, and then the other one to slam down, looks really awesome. I also think Trial of the Ancestors is going to be added as the next Ascendancy trial in Act 4. You know, we're supposed to have 3 of them. We already have 2, Trial of Chaos and Trial of the Sekima, and then Ancestors. I think that's happening, and I'm excited for it. I like Trial of the Ancestors League very much, and I definitely think I'm going to wind up liking it more than either of the 2 existing trials. Also, building off of the Ulamok trailer, I think Abyss is happening. I know a lot of people have speculated Delve. I don't really think we're getting Delve. I think we're just getting Abyss. I also do think we're getting a new in-game boss, and maybe that's me splitting 1 point out into 2, but I'm thinking, you know, we call that 2 different things. New in-game boss from the Abyss mechanic, and then also Abyss being the new in-game mechanic that's being added to the game is like, you know, something to compete with the 4 that we've had so far. All right, this one's a little bit more tinfoil hatty. I want to see Acts 5 and 6, and we could say Acts 5 and 6 or no more cruel difficulty. Like, I would like to be done with re-clearing Acts 1 through 3 twice on every character, but whatever it takes for them to cut cruel out of the current state of the leveling experience, I think would be huge. You know, I think it'd be good for a lot of people, including myself. All right, if I had to pick one thing that I really wanted, I think it would be move speed increase. This could be like, my ideal version of this would be like implicit skills or implicit bonuses on boots so that all boots have some amount of move speed. I would really prefer that to anything else, but even if it were just a baseline move speed increase, but I think all of the builds in the game, all the classes in the game, with very few exceptions, feel like they just move a little too slow. I don't need to be zooming at like insane Pathfinder speed, but I do feel like I don't move fast enough in PoE 2 right now. All right, I think the next thing that I really would like to see is an Atlas passive tree revamp. So I like the idea of having a lot fewer points in the PoE 2 Atlas passive tree. You know, like if you look at the PoE 1 Atlas passive tree, right, it's gargantuan. And then there are tons of points that are devoted to things like map mod effect or a bunch of quant and rarity nodes. And that's okay when you have 132 points to work with. But for PoE 2, the Atlas passive tree, you have 40 points to work with, but then you still have a bunch of these points that are like map mod effect. Map mod effect, quantity of items, explicit map mod effect. So I would like to see that kind of thing killed in favor of more bonuses that actually do mechanically interesting things. Like, I like the idea of some of these essence and strongbox nodes. I wish that they were better, but unfortunately all of these things that increase map mod effect or give you quant just wind up being more valuable. So I'd like to see these like boring bonuses go away and more mechanical bonuses being added in. All right, next one is kind of a two-parter. I'm going to say Lightning Spear nerfs not that bad, and the reason is, 1, I like Lightning Spear a lot, and 2, I actually think the real culprit with Lightning Spear is Volt needs to be nerfed. So I think Volt is really the problem. Volt support, if you've ever played Lightning Spear without Volt support, you'll find it kind of underwhelming. Volt support, on the other hand, is completely overpowered. It's just so insanely strong. So Volt needs to be nerfed pretty hard, unfortunately. And also, at the same time, I think better fire / cold / fizz / poison / just everything, better we'll say non-lightning skills. Basically everything that's not a lightning skill in the game right now is kind of underpowered. Maybe that's a bit of an overestimation that every single skill is underwhelming if it's not lightning, but there is such a massive tendency toward playing lightning builds so far in the game, whether it's Spark in the first patch of the game, or lightning spear in this more recent one, I would like to see a non-lightning skill dominate the game. Even though I like lightning skills a lot, you know, they've had 100% of the spotlight so far. It's time to move on. Deli anointing interface needs to be improved. Anointing your items, anointing your maps in particular, is brutally slow. Delirium orbs are like perfect in PoE 1, and having to open up a window and then click a waystone in and then click 3 delirium emotions in, and then like all of that is terrible. So definitely an improvement to that interface needs to happen. Also, another one here, no scarabs. I actually don't want to see scarabs. I know a lot of people have said, oh, the juicing in the end game is bad. I hate towers, whatever, want to see scarabs. And the issue I have with scarabs is there's so many of them are just garbage. So many of them are just clutter. Like if I open up my Wealthy Exile tab and I just hit scarabs, I've got 5 different types of scarabs here, right, that are worth the vast majority of everything. And then most of these are like 1 chaos, 0.8, 0.7, like most of these are garbage that are almost completely worthless. I really do think that scarabs work very well in PoE 1, but I really think that with the way that PoE 2 functions, I think that that game is not ready to have scarabs in it. However, I do think it is ready to have divination cards. I think the divination cards would be really good to add into PoE 2. I think they would help for like solo self-found target farming things. I think they help with giving chase items. You know, if there are some better chase uniques in the coming league, having divination cards that are associated with some of those, or even just with like good currency items, you know, that's something for players to like pursue, especially if they are linked with certain Atlas biomes or with certain Atlas maps specifically. Then you have an incentive to actually like go hunt those maps down. And on that note, another thing I'd really like to see is Atlas improvements. So specifically like zoom out, just more ways to search, zoom out, anything that would help with being able to see more around the Atlas and hunt down specific maps, especially if there is a justification for hunting down, like, I don't know, backwater map. You know, you would want to be able to hunt those down through a search function as well. So definitely want more functionality added into the Atlas, the in-game Atlas of worlds. Another thing I'd love to see is non-corrupted T16 waystones, because this is something that would help with juicing. The fact that the only way to get tier 16 waystones is to corrupt tier 15s up into tier 16s. I would like to be able to get tier 16s and actually roll them and get good prefix modifiers on them, make them nice and juicy, and then try and corrupt them into like 8 prefixes. That would be awesome. That is something I'd love to have as an option. So yeah, maybe a way to get non-corrupted tier 16 waystones. I think that would really, like, a consistent way to do so would be great. All right, another thing that I think the game really needs is ES nerfs / life buffs. Energy Shield has been completely dominant through the first 2 patches of the game. It's currently dominant in PoE 1. Enough is enough. I'd like to see life be a little bit more competitive with Energy Shield. It's the thing that's more like natural to build into for like a newer player or a stupid person like myself. So it would just be nice if it were a little bit more competitive with Energy Shield. All right, new melee skills. New melee skills / melee buffs. You know, melee has been kind of struggling in no small part because there just aren't that many melee skills. You know, there's staff skills and there's mace skills, and it would be nice if we got some druid skills to round that out, but I think we need more mace skills. They're so slow. They're hard hitting, and like that's a cool concept, but they're just so incredibly slow and hard to use in a lot of mapping situations. So really just seeing those get increased in speed would be great. Spears are sort of halfway between melee and ranged, and that's part of why spears worked so well, is they had some really good range skills like lightning spear, but a lot of the melee only items, melee only weapons have just really not worked very well thus far. And on that note, strength section of the tree getting buffs would be huge. Right now, there's kind of an issue where there are lots of good bonuses in the bottom left corner of the tree, that Marauder start, Warrior start, but then they have these like big negatives to them as well. Like you'll get a huge strength increase, but also a big negative mana or increased mana cost or negative intelligence or something. And like thematically that makes sense, but that's something that decks and sides of the tree don't have going on. They don't have huge downsides for being strong. There's not a downside for being strong. If you are a smart guy who lifts weights, you're now like not less smart for doing so. So I've always hated that in video games. You can be smart and strong at the same time. And yeah, I don't really love that. I'd like to see that kind of balance back out. Charms are another thing that really need to be buffed in a big bad way. So very simple, charm buffs. They've talked about wanting to expand the charm slots out to 5. I think that's a start. I also think just making them stronger, making them available more, or all of the above would be good. More unique charms as well. I think they're a really cool concept that just simply hasn't gotten enough meat on the bone thus far. More campaign crafting currency. So they already started doing this throughout Dawn of the Hunt, throwing currency, throwing runes, throwing a little bit of gear at players like deterministically early on in the campaign. And I just think even more of this just to make the campaign not necessarily easier, but raising the floor on difficulty so that like if you totally low roll all your drops and you are just really struggling, you can't just like walk into whatever Count Geonor's room with no gear on. Like you at least have some guaranteed baseline of items that will be available to you, so you're not just like completely feeling handicapped at the start of the game. Also, just generally, there was a lot of negativity around the difficulty of early campaign last league. So I would say early campaign difficulty stays lower, like stays reduced. Let's say remains low. So it was obviously very difficult at the start of Dawn of the Hunt League. It did get some nerfs. I'm hopeful that they don't revert any of that they keep it where it is right now, because if you go do like a solo self-found playthrough of the first act or two, it's not too bad. Like it does feel good now, unlike how it did at the like very start of last league where it was really punishing. I think they've really fixed a lot of that, and I don't think they're gonna mess that up again, and I'm just really hopeful that they don't. All right, next up, we're getting near the end of the list here. Better build enabling, not ending, build enabling chase uniques. So like there are some build enabling uniques, I guess, but most of them are like the deepest tower, where it just adds a ton of damage. Tangle Tongue adds a ton of damage. There are some good ones, like, I mean, I like Ingenuity. Everybody likes Headhunter, right? But these aren't things that have huge functionality in the way that like Mage Blood does, or maybe like Winter Weave it does in PoE 1, where you're like reverse chill. We need more things like that in PoE 2, really like clever build enabling uniques. And those don't exist right now because we're, only 2 patches in, and hopefully we're going to start getting some of those in patch number 3. All right, next is my favorite tablet in PoE 2. So I do think tablets need a pretty significant rework, and one of the ways that I would propose that is this tablet right here, the Grand Project. All maps in range of the tower can be accessed. I love this. I would like this to be just the default design for all towers. Like if you do a tower, you're able to activate or reach everything within the radius of the tower. Even if it's just simply you're able to teleport to other towers that are in range of the tower. I guess that doesn't make a lot of thematic sense, but I really like the idea of being able to use towers to very quickly move around the area that's within the radius of the tower. I would love to see more iteration on the tower system, because I do think it is a salvageable, like usable idea. I like aspects of it, but as it currently stands, I'm not a huge fan. It's a lot harder to I've been thinking about it from a content creation standpoint. It's a lot harder to make a strategy where you could say, find an area that has 3 overlapping towers, use these different tablets that all have random mods on them overlapping, and then try and farm the 3 maps that are overlapped by all 3 or 4 towers, and then spend a couple hours trying to find the next tower overlap doing the same thing. So that has really been kind of a struggle for me. I like a lot of the ideas of the towers, but it's definitely not the simple grab grab 100 scarabs and 20 maps and go farm for a couple hours that you get in PoE 1. So I would really like to see, like, yeah, more of an iteration on that. And then the final thing I'm hoping to see is those monk and huntress new ascendancies, specifically the monk one. I really want to see a martial artist. Maybe that could have been two things, but that's fine. Like martial artist as an actual melee damage unarmed ascendancy. I don't know what skills you would use as unarmed. Maybe they could, like, I've seen some people speculating maybe you could like use any melee weapon skill if you're unarmed. That's certainly a cool concept. Seems incredibly broken or terrible or neither. I don't know. I just really want to see what they have going on with martial artists. It's a very cool concept. Something I love in other video games, so I'd love to see it in this. Alright, so that's everything we know about PoE 2's patch 0.3 update, the Third Edict. That's our wish list for patch 0.3. Will everything on this list be in the patch? Absolutely. What did I miss? What do you think? Let us know in the comments section or in our Discord. Alright, that's it. The league announcement is almost here. It's like 2 days away. We're super hyped. Can't wait. Log in. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and join the Skipping Sleep Studio Discord so you can say hello to me at sunset and tell me how wrong I was about this once Wednesday rolls around and I learned that I went 0 for 25. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us so we can keep making more PoE content, become a channel member as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.